I'm Hatri Parmar, and today's my topic of presentation is Blowing in the Wind of Caste, Bob Dylan's song as a catalyst for social justice in Article 50. Bob Dylan is a renowned lyricist who got the Nobel Prize in 2016. If we talk about the caste system, so it's prevailed in India way back. The Dalit people, especially known as untouchable, they are constantly discriminated by in India. And art and music especially paved the way to have an ask for justice, and in which Bob Dylan's song turned into the catalyst that questioned the social justice and prevailed system, that how they are discriminating it. It directly gives the reference to the movie Article 15 by Anubhav Sinha, and the movie begins with that, and that leads to the very question of blowing in the wind. Nobel Prize committee gave the Nobel Prize to the Bob Dylan and announced that they are giving them for having created a new poetic expression within a great American song tradition. The question which can be raised is, how does it incorporate with the movie, and is there any challenges like caste-based discrimination, and is there any social justice with this narrative of the film? Talking about the ugly realities prevailing in India, especially that we, by the constitution, by the establishment of the constitution, we are at the stage that there is no need of any disparity based on the caste. However, there is people known as untouchable constantly face the discrimination. Not just only that, they face the harsh reality with the verbal and non-verbal violence, within the even the physical violence as well. Based on just which is existing, they are facing the problems like lack of access in education and employment. However, at the surface level, they are not facing this. But if we go deep into the prevailing system, we find out that they are facing this discrimination, and they are economically deprived from that, and they are exploited by the prevailing system. Now, the Dylan's song is a kind of poetic reckoning that in 1963 he wrote the song, and he published the song, and it is turned to be the protest song and a kind of a freedom song that gave the voice, especially in America, because at that time in America there was an emergence of racism issues, and there is a black people. So injustice was going on, and Dylan's song is turned to be the anthem of them. And it also questioned the institutionalized injustice and inequality which is prevailed in society, and the refrain which is constantly there, that Einstein is my friend is blowing in the wind, is involved the asking for the social justice based on the casteism, racism, or even the warfare. This song is particularly Alex Harris in his article, The Impact of Meaning of Bob Dylan's Blowing in the Wind, talks about that this song is directly addressing the racial equality and climate of social upheaval. And it also gives the voice of oppressed people to the American people. The song only having three things: that voice of Bob Dylan, guitar, and harmonica. And with this, it turned into the anthem of the people. And the protest song altogether turned to be the generation cry, that they are standing and see their voice. And songs like Waka Waka by Shakira, that also a kind of a song that gave the voice. So this kind of song turned it to be the voice. It also captured this 1960s zeitgeist, and especially with the Peter, Paul, and Mary who covered his song. And with this, it turned into be the generation anthem. Talking about what is the Article of 15 of Constitution, so it prohibits the discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. Within these marks, do not discriminate people. And even on the places like shops, public restaurants, hotels, place of public entertainment, never these all things we learn into the higher education. However, it is not applicable. While we are going into directly in the realities, there is a provides contrast behavior with that. Even the use of well, tanks, bathing gates, roads, and place of public resort also cannot be discriminated based on just the birth identity, that is, the Dalit people. Um, Talking about the movie, which was directed by Anubhav Sinha, it directly talks about. The movie begins with the song, the "Blowing in the Wind." The very first line of the song, I quote: "How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man?" Unquote. This lyrics directly talks about the protagonist of the movie, Ayan, who constantly, from the beginning of the movie to end of the movie, working for the Dalit people. As soon as he comes across to the reality of discriminating behavior and exploitation of Dalit people within the movie, he started doing work on that. However, there is a constant resistance from the society, from the authority towards him. So that these lines is directly connected with the protagonist, Ayan, with that. And however, Ayan tries his best and at the end he got the result. But these lines can directly evoke the very reality of the Article 15 movie. Another line I quote, yes, and how many seas must a white dove sail before she slips in a sand, unquote. Now, this line is directly the story of Article 15 reveals around two girls raped and murdered by their landlords. Now, they are working there and they were raped by them. And the two girls' justice was asked constantly in the movie, and the movie revolves around this story that they are asking for their justice and the punishment for the criminals. Now, their lives was sacrificed, and moreover, so many lives were sacrificed. So there is a she. She sleeps. So now this she is directly referred to these girls who murdered and raped in the movie. This haunting photograph can reflect the very idea and how the stories were made based on this that they were homosexual and that is why they were doing suicide. So now how these systems are making these stories, that also kind of a question. Another line I quote, yes, and how many years can some people exist before they allowed to be free? I unquote. Now, the right side of the slides, you can find out the photos, which is the very harsh reality of the present day too. If we go into the village, then it is there. There is an kind of law that we cannot put people in the gutters, especially scavengers. We have to use machines. However, in the villages and even in some of the area of cities, we are doing that. People are going in the gutters, and now this is a kind of horrible that they are men and still they are doing such things that cannot be justified on the basis of their just birth. So this horrific working condition also addresses the villain's idea of that how many years they will have to do this work to be free from this. Another is Lalgaon, the very village of the Article 15 movie, is a metaphor of oppression. The line, I quote, yes, and how many times must cannonballs fly before they are forever banned? I end quote. This lines directly refers to warfare. However, we can connect it with the Lalgaon village, that it is the geographical area where all this injustice, all these humanizing things were taking place. So Lalpa itself turned into be the metaphor of that, and it also challenges the societal fabric of it, and it also portrays the corruption which is prevailing in the village. People were willfully blind, so they are able to see whatever the reality is. Even the police system and the bureaucratic system are able to see whatever is happening in the within the village. However, the answer cannot be found in the movie. Another line I quote, yes, and how many times can a man turn his head, pretending he just doesn't see? I unquote. Now, this line directly referred to the police system and bureaucratic system. They are trying to be in favor of the power and not in favor of the people. And so, how many times they are turning their face from the very reality of the people and their injustice, and they are turning their face from that. Another line I quote, yes, and how many ears must one man have before he can hear people's cry? And what now is cry of the Dalit people? cry of their injustice and their marginalization and their exploitation can be worse or not, or how many times it will take. Another line, I quote, yes, and how many deaths will take it till he knows that too many people have died, unquote. Now, this deaths, there are numbers of deaths in the movies taking place just because of this case, rape case against their honors of that. Real life some examples that very renowned news anchor, uh, which is the face of the kind of a face of news, and they are stating in today's time as well to Adivasi people as coming from jungle, like these lines of him, news anchor, that आज उनके लिए एक तरीके से वैसा ही होगा कि जैसे वो 20 30 40 साल पहले वापस आने किसी आदिवासी के तौर पर जंगल में चले. Now this jungle, and he is also questioning that क्या SC/ST Act जो है उसे उनकी शक्ति और बंधनी होनी चाहिए. Now he is directly questioning the very constitution and their rights in that. So if the news anchors are doing such things, then this leads to the direct real life examples that even the Dalit CM, Hemant Soren, is whether he is criminal or not, without he is knowing that or without the confirmation of that, they are questioning this. And they are using such words which can be prohibited by the Prohibition Act of the SC/ST people. Another example is of the Dalit scholars discrimination in the university. Now, Honan Zafar and Rupinder Singh, in his article, Dalit Scholars Protest Exposes Casteism in India's Higher Education, highlighted this incident which took place in 2020. That Dr. Singh, she is the assistant professor, was the assistant professor in the university. However, based on just her born, she was eliminated from the university, and now she protested against the university that you cannot discriminate me based on the my birth kind of a things. And this also leads to the point that this all things happens in higher education. Now they are educated people, they know the constitution, they are teaching the constitution. Still, this kind of things are taking place in the universities. Now this raises a question that how far it is revival. So in the conclusion, however, both things like population, sound blowing in the wind, and Article 15 is separated, but they share the common thread of social justice, social equity in that, and that both talks about the realities or failings of the society in giving the equality to the people. And the only answer that Bob Dylan is telling in that, the answer is, my friend, going in the wind, and the answer for us is Indian Constitution. That can be our savior in these cases of especially discrimination. So the message is clear that dismantling systematic discrimination requires not silence, but personal awakening that ignites the collective action. And with this kind of songs of Bob Dylan, movies, and literature, we can voice this marginalization and social inequality prevailing in the society. These are my references, and thank you. If you have any question, feel free to ask.
So actually my question is, while it is undeniable that Dalits faces societal challenges, but when we addressing crimes, should we refrain from bringing caste into the discussion?
Like in the case of crime, it is always about the power and who holds the power. Whether it is the people, like especially Dalit people, if we found out their contribution, whether in any institutionalized thing, whether there is a job and anything, or even the government jobs. So within even the movie, Article 15, there is a police station. Within that police station, there is a discrimination of Dalit police. However, they are not a cadet before of that people within the police system. Now this highlights that within the police system there is prevailing this. So while we're talking about particularly crime, that who will stand for them? So it's not just based, while it's coming to the Dalit people, to the marginalized people, ST people, there is always a question that who will stand for them and who will voice them. So if there is no choice for them, like the power always is of the, like in the India most of the time, there is a 70 to 80% of the time there is power within the hand of a higher people, higher caste people. So are they able to stand for them? Whether they are not discriminating the Dalit peoples based on their caste, then in the talking about the crime, we can eliminate the word and we can eliminate their whatever their traits is there. So there is a question of the power that if the Dalit people have power, then we can address the crime. But if they don't have a power, then we have to stand for them and while addressing any issue.
My question is that do you believe that cultural expressions like music and cinema have the power to challenge deeply ingrained social structures and biases such as caste system in India?
Yes, I believe that music and cinema, even the literature, have the ability to drive a social change. However, the impact of it can take time, but the music, like a Bob Dylan song, turned into the protest song, and like the Article 15, it challenges the very society or very systematic operation which is there in the society. So in that case, cinema, like Article 15, or like there that cinema, then also we have to consider that cinema who kind of and talking about the marginalized people and the societal injustice and inequity and prejudice. That not that who are provocating this thing. So we have to eliminate that cinema who is provocating this thing. So music and cinema have this ability to drive the social change, which is deeply related, deeply rooted in the society. Yes, thank you so much.